Hello? There we go. It should be through now. You guys hearing me now? Am I coming through? Very, very sorry. Massive apologies. It normally just works straight away. There we go. It should be coming through now. You should be able to hear me. My apologies. I'm not too sure why that turned itself off. But there we go. Listen. Forget my little... We can edit that out. We can edit that out. Don't worry about it. We can edit it out. That's the internet. Hit the like button. Get that done now. Make sure you're all subscribing right about now. Now, look. It's been... and what we'll do... And starting again from now. It's been a horrible summer for many a Man United fan. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. No doubt about it. It's been a horrible summer so far. We haven't got the players in as early as we want. The media have frustrated us. We've been angry, etc., 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 etc. However, today's a good day. Today is a good day. Mbeumo is going to be through the door. The medical's happening tomorrow. We're linked to a number 9. Sancho might be on his way out to another Premier League team. Maybe some moolah on its way into the club. We're going to sit here tonight. Thank you for joining me on this Friday evening as well. If you don't know who I am, I do have a voice if you've watched the first minute or so of this. My name's Terry Flewers. I'm from the Football Terrace. I'm here. Get yourself a drink. Grab yourself some popcorn. Sit yourselves down. Strap yourselves in because we're going to have a big night tonight. We're going to have a big night tonight. We're going to have a big evening on the United Stand. Who's tuning in? Who's watching? We've got some super chats first of all here. This is from Liking Trash. Says, Terry just done a goal bridge. I'm glad Mark's done it before. It makes me feel, it's not my channel. I felt a bit awkward. We can edit that out though. We can edit it out. It'll be gone. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. This here says, put it in reverse, Terry, is what David says here. Yeah, I messed up a bit there. Terry, am I the only one who would prefer Sesko? I like Sesko. There's a risk at the money. There's a risk with the money, and we're going to get onto that a little bit later because we've got to delve and Miranda into that one there. Thank you, Carl. Also, another member chat here. This comes... Oh, no. 20 memberships gifted is that. Look at you, legend there, my friend. Absolute legendary man there. That's Carl gifting out 20... I think he's gifted out 20 memberships to you all. That's huge. Big up yourself, my bro. But there we go. Oh, no, it's not. No, it's not. He didn't gift 20 memberships. It's 20 months as a member. I'm having a mare. But how's everyone doing? Hope you're all well. Hope you're all good. If you do want to gift some memberships, get it done, people. You help the channel. But what you also do is you give a little oi, you give a little nudge to one of your fellow mates here at the United Stand. Now, look, we're going to get into Sesko. We're going to get into Sancho. But I want to start by talking about Mbeumo because it was me, of all people. You know, of all people, I was here live when it was announced by Mr. Ornstein that Manchester United had won the race to sign Mbeumo and he had picked us. And we were all excited and we were buzzing. And we've all had different levels of panic, anger, calmness, frustration over the course of the last 7 weeks. But ultimately, put all of that aside, we all want the same thing. United to sign better players, for the team to improve, and for us to enjoy our football, the game that we love so much more. That's what we're looking for. And we've gone and got that. And by the way, big shout out to Carl that's gifted 5 memberships. And also Mojo that's gifted 40 memberships out. Look at that. You absolute legend. You legend for doing that. This deal, look, I'm going to be honest. I said it yesterday evening. It was yesterday afternoon, sorry, on right here on the stand. That I think 65 million is more than I would have paid as a base fee. Okay? However, it's only marginal. It's only a few £1,000,000 more. Do I wish we did better in the negotiations? Yes. Do I wish we were able to get them down after spending 7 weeks of talking to them? Yes. Could being difficult to handle pay dividends in the future? Potentially, time will tell. But let's just put all of that aside for a moment. Man United have just gone and signed one of the very best attackers in Premier League football. We have. As it stands right now, that is an objective fact that we should be excited about. We can keep our feet firmly on the ground. No one's going to start talking about winning Premier Leagues or anything crazy. But we have got put ourselves into a much stronger and a much better position than we foresaw 7 weeks ago. 15 weeks ago, 3 or 4 months ago, with everything that was going on at Manchester United. We have put ourselves into a much better and a much healthier situation. And for that, I'm really happy and I'm really excited. And I'm not going to deny that. I'm not going to hold back and say that I'm not going to pretend I'm not excited. I'm not going to suddenly start talking about the money more than the football element. Which I've said all along, the profile followed by the money, followed by the timing. The profile is brilliant. I'm over the moon, and I want to get your reaction to this deal. Goals, creativity, availability, Prem proven, wonderful physicality, compress all day long. I'm really, really over the moon with this deal. Absolutely over the moon with it. I want to get your thoughts and opinions on this. Lee here says, might get a Glock hijack, as Mark always says. I don't know about a Glock hijack. I don't know if we'll get that. I would love that. I mean, that would just... Listen, I'm not drinking at the moment. Purely, I had a really bad throat. And it wasn't alcohol, but it was acid reflux that hurt it. And they've just told me to not drink for 8 weeks, which is great. But I'm going against that. If we were to pull off a hijack like that tonight, I am getting out the champers. There's a bottle in my fridge right now. That'd be getting opened. But it won't be happening. It won't be happening, Lee, my old mucker. Emily here says, I said when Ornstein dropped the Mbeumo story, I'd celebrate Mbeumo when we got the here we go. Now I'm glad it's Friday. And that's it. Exactly. Enjoy it, Emily. Enjoy it. Bask in it. It's a great bit of business for Manchester United. We just can't even get away from that. We can't get away from that at all. This here... Sorry, I'm trying to get all these super chats. Well, maybe if I make my screen bigger, it might help me. Is that better? No, it's still very small on the side, but I'm trying to move the cursor along to put everybody's comments up because it's hard to read them all. This here from Mark. He says, after Mbeumo, give me a striker, midfielder and goalkeeper for a 7 out of 10 window. Unlikely, though, unfortunately. Well, I'm not sure if it's unlikely that we'll do that. I mean, there's definitely a chance we can do it. I think there's definitely a chance that we can pull in a striker. We can definitely pull in a goalkeeper. Will we get everything that we all want and everything that we all need? I'm not too sure. I can see this. Can I see the super chats if I do this? There's so many chats coming in from you guys. They move so quickly. I think I might have missed one. I'm so sorry if I have. I'm trying to get to them before they disappear. So when I have StreamYard, it stars them and I can put them on the screen. So I'm very sorry. But yes, look, I'm very, very excited indeed. I really am. Riskus here says, hi, Terry. Trust you're well. Would you take Javi, is that pronounced Puando, from Espanyol? His stats last season, 35 matches, 12 goals, 4 goals. He plays as a right winger as Brian Mbeumo. I'm elated he's joining us. I know nothing about the man you've mentioned, so I'm not going to sit here and insult everybody's intelligence by pretending I do. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know anything about him and lie to you. But what I will do is go away, do a bit of research, read about him and see. But do you think he's good enough? And if you do, then I will bow down to your knowledge. That is what I'm going to do, is bow down to your knowledge and take a little look at him and see what's being said. This here from Mike says, evening, Sir Terry. I like that. Sir Terry. Oh, one day maybe. One day. Came straight from work. Any news on outgoings, as I have not had time to check? Well, we've all seen the stories about Jadon Sancho in the past 10 days. Close, severance packages, deal nearly done with Juve. Nothing yet from a Fabrizio. Nothing from a Ben Jacobs, nothing from Ornstein. But it does feel like progress has been made there. But tonight, interestingly, I'm going to read this to you now. Tonight, according to Henry Tomlinson, Nottingham Forest are prepared to make an offer to Jadon Sancho. It says they see the Man United winger as a dream replacement for Anthony Elanga and believe he could follow a similar redemption arc and rediscover his form. Now, look, my first thought is would Jadon Sancho go to Nottingham Forest? I don't know if he would. I don't know if he'd put himself in that position. Genuinely, I'm not sure if he'd put himself in that position, Mike. I'm not convinced he would. And what I mean by that is I think Jadon Sancho wants a heritage club. I think Jadon Sancho wants a Juve, an Inter, Now, he wants someone that's got that history. Now, I know that they have history, Nottingham Forest, but not in Jadon Sancho's life. Not in his lifetime, they haven't had that. Would I like this to be true and for him to be interested? Yes. I mean, if he's smart, he might say, I'm interested. Might get Juve to up their money. It could create a bidding war. Now, that would be beautiful. That would be something to turn around if we get a little bidding war, if we make a bit. Because at the moment, if we give him the severance package with the transfer fee we're being offered, we break even on the money we owe on him versus what comes in, and we save the 13 million in wages. Get a little bidding war, get the bids up a little bit, you might suddenly start making 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 million, which can go towards another player. So I do hope it's true, but I don't know about you guys, I just don't want to get my hopes up. I don't like to get my hopes up when it comes to these players leaving because we've been burnt before. And I have no personal issue with Jadon Sancho, Rashford, Anthony, or the five as they're being referred to by the media. Don't buy into that stuff. Push back against it. But for me personally, I'm keeping my feet very, very firmly on the ground on planet Earth. You know, I need to go and get that done. Oh, breaking news, by the way, separate from what we're talking about, but he was United linked. According to Ben Jacobs, Galatasaray and Napoli have agreed a £75 million euro fee for Victor Osimhen's. Structure of the deal verbally approved by Napoli, with only a small part remaining. Galatasaray cautious, but a full agreement is understood to not be far off. So that's a striker option that I know we were looking at, and I'd certainly liked and wanted that's gone. But yeah, other than that, there's not very many sort of exits that are currently considered close. However, look, the window's starting to pick up speed now. And as more and more of these deals get done, as more players get purchased, and I think our players are a second choice for a lot of clubs. I think Rashford is a second choice. I think Garnacho is a second choice for a lot of teams. So as and when certain deals shut, you may see other ones open. So nothing else on the outs other than that. But what do you make of that, people? Let me know what you think and what you feel. This super chat here from Peyton says, to the point about payouts, what is the norm for pounds money left on a contract? Do the players lose out on future earnings or the contract at the current club? So typically speaking, if I've got 2 years left on a deal and that's worth 5 million quid and I sign for a new club, it's null and void. Where it can become precarious, where it can become difficult, where it's hard, is if the player's new club isn't paying as much money. So Juve are said to be offering around 180 to 200k a week. That's anything up to £100,000 a week less. So you're talking somewhere in the region of about £5 million difference. So what's being spoken about is Man United are going to be covering some of that. We're covering some of that for the first year. So you sometimes get those scenarios, but typically speaking, that's an atypical solution. A typical remedy is once you leave a club, they no longer pay you. The same, no matter how long was left on your contract. That's why, though, it's hard, Peyton, for Man United to get rid. So people think, oh, we're bad negotiators. We do bad things in negotiations. I won't deny that. But Rasmus Højlund, I think he's on about 80, 90k a week. Inter Milan, according to some really good Inter sources, Inter Milan only offered £10 million to buy him off us. Why would we do that? They didn't want to cover his wages, so he didn't want to leave. Plus, so he'd be getting a pay cut. Why would he do it? He wouldn't. Secondly, we'd lose £45 million on that deal, on the financials this year. The club isn't going to do that. So that would be a terrible decision to act in that way. But yeah, that's kind of how that works, to be fair. Ace here says, big up, Big T. I am manifesting this Vlahovic swap, a striker who demands the ball on the pitch. I'm telling you, it will bang. Listen, Ace, I hope you're right. I'm not a massive fan of what I've seen of Vlahovic, if I'm being honest with you. I've seen enough. When he was at Fiorentina, I was excited about the prospect of him. I'd watched a couple of games. I'd obviously read about him. I've watched maybe 10, 11 games at Juve, and I've never been blown away. I've never gone, wow. Well, when I think about the other strikers we're linked to, and we'll get into that in a minute, when I think about Sesko, when I think about Ollie Watkins or Mateta, I've had multiple moments when watching them where I've said, wow, that's good. I've never really felt that way with Vlahovic, or not for a long, long time. Maybe that's the hype. Maybe the hype's died away, so I'm viewing it a little bit differently. But there we go. Yeah, it's not one for me. This here, we've got another super chat here. I'm going to try and go through these as quick as I can, actually, because I don't want to miss them. It says, Sir Terry OBE. Thank you. Why, thank you, sir. He says, sometime in the future, I think Højlund and Xerxes would drastically improve with Cunha and Brian's addition. Your thoughts, sir? Look, I'm not sure. I think Xerxes was on the road to improving before he got that hamstring injury last year. Will he score more goals with better players around him? There's a probability of yes. Will Xerxes ever become prolific? Will he ever be a 25 league goal scorer on a regular basis? No. Could Højlund score more goals with more confidence and better players around him with better service? Yes. Do I think is he going to be elite? No. And I think we need to aim now to either look, and that's the risk. And we'll go into the story because it's come up now, and I think it's really important. And let me build this story up here. We obviously last night saw Sam, who used to very much be part of the United Stand, put out a tweet, and the tweet read, and I quote, let me go and find this now. It's important to find this. I want to make sure I word it correctly. Did I save the tweet? I'm sure I did, but if I didn't, I'll have to search for it. Oh, my head. Oh, my on. You ever just suddenly get a headache come on out of nowhere? I think it's all the excitement. Well, I can't find it, but I'll go and find it now, right? Let me find the tweet, 'cause I want to read it out word for word. I want to be accurate here. No. Where is it? Come on. No, that's not the one. That's today's news. Where's yesterday's news? The news cycle goes so quickly. Is it there? Nope. Come on. It was yesterday's news. It surely should be around still now. Here we go. It says that Benjamin Sesko is open to a Man United move despite no European football. United have been told potential new signings they need to sell in order to buy. So first of all, the idea that we just sat on our hands and did no other work other than the Mbeumo deal are wrong. We were clearly having conversations. We were talking to people. We've been courting them at the very least, trying to wine and dine them a little bit, keep them on ice, see what we can do. That news was great. I like Benjamin Sesko, but he does come at a risk. And he comes at a risk from the perspective of there is a lot of potential still. And he isn't going into a well-drilled, title-challenging team where things are perfect. He's going into a club that is still, at this moment, whatever direction you think we're moving in, a mess. So there is always the chance that you get another Højlund situation. I don't think it would be as bad because I think Sesko is better right now than Højlund was when he joined. But there is that concern. That being said, you compare him to a Mateta and to an Ollie Watkins, they've already reached their ceiling, in my opinion, where Sesko's got the ability to be even better than they are. So I like the sound of the player. The money, the deal, we can cross that bridge on another day. But the player in itself, I like it. But when this deal became interesting today, and I will say this, no journalist ever gets, especially the journalists that talk lots about transfers. So Ben Jacobs and Fabrizio are two like this. They speak about what they're hearing, what they've been told, about inquiries, about movement, about potentials, monitoring. I know some people hate that talk. I never understand why you follow transfer news but then hate it. It's one of the weirdest things you can do, don't you think? Oh, I hate the way transfers are discussed. I hate the way that we get updates every day. Then just unfollow those people on Twitter and don't watch the YouTube content about it. And then you'll be fine. It's like getting offended by a joke that you didn't hear. It makes no sense. It was a joke. There you go. Anyway, we digress. For me, Ben Jacobs has had a number of big Man United bombs this year. And I'm hoping that the trend continues. Where we've been linked to a player and it's kind of been scoffed at by rivals, no chance, nobody else in the media speaking about it. And then suddenly, bang, it comes out. So I remember watching the United Stand, and I remember having Ben on my channel, The Football Terrace, and I remember him saying, keep an eye out for Mbeumo to Man United. Many, many months ago now. Well, 2 months ago, about 8 weeks ago. And I remember rivals laughing. And then we suddenly got the news that Mbeumo picked us. Very similar with Cunha many months ago. And now we're getting the same with Sesko. He retweeted, and ironically, it was a tweet off the back of being on the United stand. He's retweeted in the last hour. Yes, in the last hour. He goes, and his comment, which was, I still think we might see some legs in the Sesko deal. So he's now 24 hours after Sam's news, he's retweeted it again, which suggests or potentially implies that we have seen some movement in that deal again. Now, whoever we go for, and there's pros and cons to everything I'm about to say, I'm aware of it, but this is just what I want. You may see it differently. Leave your comments below because I want to know what you think and feel. I want us to go and get him secured on a personal level now. Yep, we may not have the money to buy him today, but go and get those personal terms agreed. Make him commit to us. Whether it's Sesko, whether it's Mateta, like we'll all have a preference, but we should all want the practice to be the same. Get the player to commit and want out of his club. At least then, I say 60% of the job of bringing that striker is done. Then we've got to go about selling a player. Then we've got to go about raising those funds. And I think you get rid of. I think if you get rid of Sancho and you get rid of one of Garnacho or Rashford, that would then raise the money for the striker. You don't need every penny, by the way. Say it did cost 80 million. Let's just put out that figure for a minute. If it costs 80 million, you don't need 80 million pounds today. If you could spread that cost over 4 years, you may only need 20 million pounds this summer. So if you were to get 40 million for Garnacho plus his salary back, 13 million salary back for Garnacho, 13 million salary back from the Sancho deal, then you're looking at, you've got the 20 million pounds to cover that deal, those payments for year one. So go and get it done now. You've made us wait long enough. The tour starts in just under, I think we fly out in just under a week. First preseason game tomorrow. Start making some of these signings a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. Because I do think if we've got someone like an Ollie Watkins, somebody like a Mateta, someone, and if Sesko can come in with a bit between his teeth and start well, we will be a different animal next season. We won't make the top 4. We're not challenging for the Premier League. But we'll have goals in abundance from front to back. And I think that is absolutely, fundamentally imperative for Manchester United moving forward. The first show me and Mark did together when we started working together again back in February, March, me and Mark had a bit of a debate around what was more important, creativity or a goal scorer. And I still stand on it. I felt having someone to put the ball in the back of the net was more important than buying a new creator, because I felt we missed an abundance of chances last year and we needed some killers. And I think with Mbeumo and I think with Cunha and then someone like a Sesko, somebody like a Watkins, I think you're buying those goals. I think you're bringing in that quality that scores us 40 to 50 additional league goals next season. They won't score all of them themselves, but they'll score quite a lot of them themselves. They'll create for others. They make us a much better team. Maybe 50's pushing it. Maybe it's more 30 to 40 more league goals. But that's the difference between coming 15th and finishing in a European position. So go and get it done. But I like the Sesko deal. Whenever he was linked to Arsenal, I praised it. I haven't changed my mind now. I think there's a real talent in there. My only concern is that if he isn't ready yet and we can't develop him right because of the turmoil and problems at the club, I do worry. But for any one of these strikers we're linked to, if they can come in and hit the ground running, that opening game against Arsenal, what is it now? A month or so away. If we could have 3 very good attackers to top-class attackers in that team, we've got a chance of beating them. And wouldn't it be great that opening day of the season to pick up that massive W? It's not going to make our season or break our season, the win or the draw, but it would be a relief. It would mean that we could all sit and watch match of the day comfortably. And look, I'm not quite, I wouldn't say I'm excited about the season yet. Start bringing in some more of these deals and we will see. Plus, one of the reasons I want it to be Sesko, and this isn't a reason I should actually have, but it is. I'm a football fan. Arsenal United. Gyökeres Sesko. Opening game of the season. You can't write it. You couldn't write it. Chris Nolan is probably the best filmmaker in the world at the moment. He ain't writing that script. That script is fire. Emily Derry here says, considering Arsenal were looking at Sesko and Gyökeres, you clearly thought they shared many attributes and they are a similar profile. The price, though. And that's a great point, Emily. I've not seen a lot of people pick up on that today, but you're spot on. And it's so, so true. There are similarities to the profile. There just is. And Arsenal are not a stupid club. Berta is a very intelligent, very well-respected sporting director, and they were happy with either. It was the one they could get at the right price. But you are right, Emily, the price is a tipping point for me, because I think if we're talking anything more than like 70 million, just right now is like the max I would go to. 70 million would be the absolute max I would go to if we could even afford that. And a lot of that is because we've got other positions to fill. And I want us to get those positions filled. But from my point of view, look, at the end of the day, Watkins is going to cost you about 60-odd million. Mateta is going to be 60-odd million. The one thing you would say about a young player like Sesko being slightly more expensive is there is the potential to have him for 10 years. So that often comes with a little bit more of a premium. But I don't think any of the strikers we're linked to, none of them are coming in for less than 50 to 60 million pound, unless we start going further down the... I mean, listen, they're talking about Jackson being a 55, 60 million pound player. Now, if you're going to drop 60 million on Nico Jackson, go and spend 70 million on Sesko. Go and get it done. If you are going to... there's talk from some people that think Villa might ask for as much as 70 million for Watkins. If you've got to drop 70 million on either, the more I think about it, I think... it's hard. Because Sesko's got that future where Watkins is doing it now. What do you all think? I'm going to throw it out to you. Maybe we can get a poll running on that, Rob, if you could. Maybe let's put 4 strikers on it. Sesko, Watkins, Mateta, Jackson. Let's put those 4 names on it. Let's see what this brilliant and the biggest and best Man United community in the world thinks about that. Let us know, people. And by the way, nearly 10,000 people watching. Amazing. But get the like button hit, please. Get that done right now. That would be amazing if you could. Would rather take Sesko than Watkins, is what someone says here. Villa are desperate. Now, they could be. And look, again, if you can get Watkins at 40 million, then I'm taking Watkins. I'm going to vote now. Oh, who am I picking? Who am I going to vote for? I'm not telling you. But 71% of you in the chat want Sesko right now. And we're going to keep our eyes on that throughout the course of this the rest of this show to see how that ends. Let's have a look at some more of your... I'm looking down because I'm looking... Actually, no, I'll put the comments up on my screen here, actually. It's a little bit easier. But let's have a little look here. Can I move? There we go. That will move now. There we go. Let's go to some more of your comments that are coming through. Mateta has one halfway decent year and people on his nuts, is what Super Arch says here. Oceanman Dimwit's twice as good as any striker this season, and he's only 60 million. I don't think anybody in here is being a dimwit, but he's about to agree a deal to go to Galatasaray. His salary demands are well above what we're willing to pay. So I think what we're doing right now in the chat is focusing on what's attainable as opposed to dream options. Because dream option for me is still one of the victors, but neither are going to happen. So it's probably sensible to move on from them mentally, Probably sensible to do that. Sorry. Had to click my neck. Let's look at some more of your comments there. Sesko is overrated. Makeup professional. I'd love you to break that down for me. When you say overrated, explain what you don't like, why you think he's overrated. I'd love to hear from you on that. I truly, truly would. Mbeumo, David here says, Mbeumo was a saga, but Gyökeres is a full-blown soap opera. Wonder how tired he is with Sporting stubbornness and Arsenal's reluctance. What if United offered 69 million? Well, the issue that you've got, David, is the player's mind hasn't changed. So if, for instance, we were told tonight that Gyökeres' mind is changing and he's considering other options, then go and do it. Go and pay the asking price. Get it done. Get him in. Right now. Go do it. Go do it. The problem is, David, is I think what you're asking for is a bit of a pipe dream. I think what you're asking for, it isn't going to happen. So it's just not going to happen. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. 3% are Chelsea fans and can't blame them for trying to offload Jackson. Well, do you know what's so funny when you say that, Brad? Is earlier on my channel, The Football Terror, I had a podcast that's called Straight Facts, and we've got a guy called Don who's a Chelsea fan on. We call him Don Skeeto because he's annoying like a mosquito. And, well, I don't. The comments do. But he made this really big play for why Man United should sign Nico Jackson. Shameless it was. It was shameless. So, yeah, it's not for me. But 64% of you right now have voted for Sesko, 19% Watkins, 14% Mateta, 3% Jackson. Yeah, I don't want Jackson either. Jack Upton Tomlinson. I mean this with all due respect, Jack. That is the poshest name I've ever read in my life. Almost as posh as, what was her name? Tara Palmer Tomlinson is your name there, but still. Anyway, where's your comment gone? Let me go back to your comment. I've lost it now. Oh, what have I done? Here it is. It says, I've seen too many young players flop, hence why, here, because the squad isn't good enough to nurture talent. Sesko would smash it at Arsenal. I worry with us. It's a really fair point. It's a fair point that I have no direct counter for, other than to say, could one game a week and a manager with a set style of football be different? And I say that because before we were signing, think about Ten Hag. We were signing the profile of players that he'd used in the past, but we weren't implementing his style of football. How on God's green earth we ever thought that was going to yield success and consistency is unbelievable. Just break it down. Imagine you're running a steakhouse and you need high quality steak chefs that are very, very good at cooking steak, very, very good at cooking meats. But you go out and hire pastry chefs. Or, worse than that, that's not even the right example. I messed that one up. You got the steakhouse, you hire the best chefs imaginable, best chefs possible to come and cook the steak, but instead of making them cook steak, you put them on making desserts, which they've never done. You put them on baking. They're your cocktail waiter. They're the mixologist. You're going to fail. And that's my only, I suppose, thought that pops into my mind that goes against what you've said. But I hear you, Jack. 1,000% get where you are coming from. And it holds so much truth. It really does. This is Rags Are Riches FC. I mean, it reminds me of that great Tony Bennett song. Ever go from rags to riches. I love that song. Can't sing though, but there we go. I would take Sesko all day. I've seen him in person and he was skilled, good finisher, and he slide tackling and won the ball whilst pressing. If he's the same price as those other players, he's worth it. And then Derek here, one of our members, says exactly, Sesko is the best option. Amazing finisher, baller, good mentality. Also a seasoned player who's been playing Champions League for 3 seasons, plus the Euros tournament. It's a really good point. It's a really good point. Really good points in every single direction there. We've got some more super chats coming here. This is Baz, or Barry here. Where's it gone, Barry? Why can't I put it up on my screen anymore? Has it already disappeared? Right, it goes so quick. No, I've got it here. It says, well, Sham, if we can get a decent keeper like Martinez and Sesko and get rid of unwanted 5, I'd be a happy man. I hear ya. Brandon here says, what if Gyökeres to Arsenal deal falls through? Would you want Sesko or Gyökeres? Gyökeres. I'd still go for Gyökeres. I don't care about being sloppy seconds. We'd be sloppy seconds for both. They both wanted Arsenal first. I don't care. As long as Man United are getting better, I don't give a hoot. This is from Ian Tracy that says, I'd go for Sesko, only 22, very well-rounded, strong, fast, technical, good at heading, decent finisher, and his instincts around the box are improving. I looked at a stat earlier as well that showed how many touches in the box he gets versus other top strikers. It's very few. Partly that was because he was played out of position for periods last year, and also Leipzig weren't very good. I think he'd get more touches in the box. I think he'd get more chances to score. Let's actually have a look at, let's go on Squawker for a minute. And one of the really good stats I like looking at is conversion rate. I think conversion rate is really important. So let's look at the 2 guys that are leading the poll, Watkins and Sesko. Let's go take a little butchers at that. I've got Ollie Watkins in there. And let's put in man like Sesko. There we go. Let's see who comes out on top of it. I'm going to change the stats over and change it to all the shooting stats. So shots per game, shooting accuracy. Let's go to goals. So winning goals, home and away goals. I think that's important to look at. Non-penalty goals. We'll look at conversion rate as well. Oh my, no, one's a Champions League. Let's do This is interesting. So in the Champions League, right? 12 games for Watkins versus 8 games for Sesko. Shooting accuracy, okay. 60% to Sesko, 50% Watkins. Sesko didn't score any winning goals, and Ollie Watkins did get one, to be fair. But in the Champions League, 1 away go, three home goals, just 1 home goal for Watkins. 4 goals for Sesko, only 1 for Ollie Watkins. 3 non-penalty goals. Watkins' goal was a non-penalty goal. Conversion rate. 6% conversion rate for Watkins. 26% conversion rate for Benjamin Sesko. Now let's look at their league form last year. Let's go to the Premier League and the Bundesliga respectively and see how this ends up. That's a little bit of a different story. So let's have a look. Winning goals. 4 winning goals for Sesko, 6 for Watkins. 4 away from home for Sesko, 7 away from home for Watkins. 9 each at home. 16 goals for Watkins, 13 goals for Sesko, even though he was played out of position a lot, though. This is the big one for me, though. Conversion rate. 23% for Watkins is good, but 28% conversion rate for Sesko. So there is a train of thought that in a team that's more attacking and a team where he's played in his better position, with his conversion rate being higher, if he could have been given more shots, more game time as a 9, and he actually played 5 games less as well. If we did it per 90 minutes, it changes those stats massively, and Sesko comes out on top. Now, football isn't just about stats. I'm very aware of that. You're very aware of that. But I definitely think it's worth looking at. You know, in terms of the conversion rates, in terms of the amount of goals being scored, there isn't much between them. So that's why if you're getting to 60 million for Watkins, but 70 million for Sesko, I'm starting to pull more towards the Sesko deal, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know what you think. What you've never heard. Okay, so you guys talking to each other. I would go for Ramos from PSG, either alone or buy him outright. It's not a bad shout, Marv. I like him, but I prefer Watkins. I prefer Mateta. I prefer Sesko. What is it about Ramos that you prefer? I'd love to understand the way you're coming from with that one. This super chat here has just come in. It's from Safonda. Safonda says, Amorim likes a striker who plays on the last man and is good on the half turn. That's not Sesko. I would rather look at someone like Victor Boniface. Good shout. Good shout when you say that. What I would say, though, is I think he can do that. I think he can play on the half turn. I think he can play. He's very good with his feet. He's very agile for a 6'5" player. I think he has that in his wheelhouse, personally. Victor here with another super chat says, our two signings wanted to come to United. They are not mercenaries. If he loves and wants to play for United, then hope we sign him. Look, some players aren't going to pick us first. We're going to be some people's second choices. But this, you remember when we were talking about this on here maybe 5, 6, 7 weeks ago? Would you take Gyökeres if the deal for Arsenal falls through? No, I don't want to be sloppy seconds. Well, Benjamin Sesko would be the 4th striker we've approached this summer. So based on everybody's logic, no striker should now say yes to us because they're not first choice. That's not how professional football works. It's not how it works. This here from... Why doesn't it come up on my screen anymore? It's very annoying. This here is from... let's see if I can get it on this screen. It might be easier. There we go. I like Luis Openda, a very good goal scorer. Would be a good combination with Cunha and Mbeumo. Would they not get in each other's way? Because I view them all very similarly, where they like to drop deep. They like to float. Let me know. Terry, who would be your goalkeeper choice? Oh, I'm still siding with Emi Martinez. I'm sort of liking... Listen, there might be better options out there. The Antwerp goalkeeper that's been mentioned today, I know nothing about him, so I don't have an opinion. On all the goalies that I know of that we've been incredibly linked to, I like Emi Martinez. I really do like him. I rate him. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. Saves around 20% more shots than Onana. Better mid to long range passing. Prevents less goals. There's not much to not like or rate. There really, really isn't. There really isn't too much to not like and rate. Marco Franco here says, Watkins' deal depends on Aston Villa being sole AG suitors. What do you mean sole AG? Oh, Alejandro Garnacho. Well, that's also an option there, isn't it? Because that came up from Ben Jacobs the other day as well. And if Villa suddenly show a real interest in Alejandro Garnacho, a deal could be done. They would have to be separate deals from each other. They would have to be separate deals. There's no doubt about it. We couldn't do a swap deal. We don't want to lose that value. But that could potentially happen. Sorry about the yawning. I up very, very, very early with the kids today. Very early with the kids. Everyone keeps driving the Prem proven narrative. Sanchez and Mount were Prem proven, not always better. At least Sesko said he was open to joining us. Depends on what people mean. You know, I've had this debate a few times this week. Like, Prem proven's a real thing. Prem proven is a myth. I think it's about how we frame it. I think it's how we talk about it. And I'll give you an example as to what I mean by that. So, Madueke is Prem proven. He is. The problem is he's Prem proven at what he is, and that's a good player. We know he can be a good player in the Premier League. So he's in that category of good. But he's proven himself in the Premier League at being a good player. So when you buy him as a backup, you're like, oh, good backup, because we know he can play here. He's a good backup for Arsenal. A little bit too expensive, but a good backup. Now, if you wanted a new right winger to take you to winning the Premier League and Champions League, I wouldn't pick Madueke because he's played in the Prem over Yamal, because Yamal is better, even though he's not done it in the Premier League. Where it becomes a real thing, Prem proven, in my opinion, is when you've got to compare like for like. So if we're going for a striker who we sort of view as good and improves us, but not the end of the rainbow, not the main man for the next 7-8 years, not our Haaland, not our Gyökeres, not our Isak, just someone that can sort of hold the tide back a little bit, help us for a period, and as we grow and get better, we might pivot to somebody better. That's where I think if we're looking at strikers that are in that ilk, that's when you can say, well, this guy's been pretty decent, 15 goals a year in Germany. This guy's been pretty decent, scoring 15 goals a year in the Prem. I'd go with the Prem proven option of that level. What I wouldn't do is pick Ollie Watkins because he scored in the Premier League over Victor Osimhen, who I think is a better striker. But what I would do is pick Isak over Victor Osimhen, even though their goal scoring in recent years has been similar, because one's doing it in the Premier League. But I'm comparing like for like in terms of the categories of which they sit in. That, for me, is when I speak about Prem proven, I just say it as a phrase. And we all do this. We say things as a phrase and we assume everybody knows what we mean by that phrase. So if somebody says, oh, I think Mbeumo is going to flop, don't just argue with them and go, no, he won't. The question you should ask is, okay, what do you consider flopping to be? Because one person's flop could be another person's success. You get where I'm coming from? So you might go, I think he'll flop. I think he'll only score about 15 goals a year for you. You might be sitting there, every year? Yeah. You might be sitting there going, that's bloody brilliant. Great. Say he's a flop then. I don't care. Because we agree he's going to do the same thing. If he says, oh, I think he'll flop, why? I think he's only going to score a couple of goals a year. He's going to flop. Then you might argue it because you disagree with it's the rationale you've got to focus on. So for me, when someone says Prem proven, I do ask them what they mean, but it's about the categories for me. It's about the categories. What's about a three-way deal? Garnacho to Chelsea, Jackson to Aston Villa, and Watkins to United. Could be a way to get it all done. Watkins is good for 2 more years. Then Obi might be ready. Again, I would be open to that. I wouldn't sit there CV and be against it. It wouldn't make me angry. It wouldn't make me frustrated. A few comments to your super chat. This is from Lee. He says, we take 7 weeks to complete one deal. Imagine us being involved in something like this. It wouldn't take 7 weeks from now, though, either, because what now starts to happen, and it kind of happened to us with the Vista news, is everybody wants to start getting their business done for themselves. Things, typically, the nearer the deadline day you get, the faster negotiations work. Because everybody loses their control and power. That's why on deadline day, we've seen this many a time, where a deal hasn't been discussed all summer, and it can go from phone call to WhatsApp message to bid to here we go to player holding up a shirt in 3 hours. So the nearer to the deadline you get, the faster. It's a little bit like a black hole, you know? The nearer to a black hole you get, the faster time moves, you know? Retrospectively, get near that black. You've all seen Interstellar when they land on that planet with the water. They're only there 2 hours. It's 22 years or something back on Earth. That's like deadline day. Deadline day is the black hole, where it takes 22 years at the beginning. When you get closer to it, it's done in an hour. It's literally, honestly, it's a good analogy. It's almost as good as the Goldbridge one. Too much. Just buy Watkins because we already have Cheeto, like you said. Let's build the young lads too. How old is Watkins? Watkins is about 27, but I don't think his age is an issue personally. Mika here says, for the striker, Vlahovic on a free or Mateta. Central midfield, we should get Richard Rios or Edouard Spatinian, talented abroad players, and for goalkeeper, Martinez, who wants to join. But that's also the thing with Martinez I like. He is the one pushing for the Man United move, by all accounts. And I like that. You know, that isn't someone that we're convincing to join by offering them stupid money and we have to chase them. It isn't someone who's been rejected by 10 clubs that they're, I'll join United. That's someone who's really pushing for the move. I like it. Safonda here says, imagine the tears falling down Arteta's face when Sesko comes to Manchester United and crushes it whilst Gyökeres flops. I mean, there is that potential outcome. Imagine as United fans, the glee we will feel if Sesko comes in, delivers, wins us games, and Gyökeres doesn't do so well. I mean, especially the opening game of the season. Imagine that. We win 2-0, little brace from Sesko, 1 goal set up by Cunha, 1 goal set up by Mbeumo. It would be a thing of beauty. It would be an absolute thing of beauty, and we'd all love it. We'll know we would. Did I miss your super chat, Rob? I'm so sorry. I've been trying to keep up with them. I may have missed it. Let me see if I can. It's on my screen here. Harry says, who would benefit the most from a loan move this season? My Harry Hamas would definitely. Kone maybe. I want to see some of these youngsters in pre-season, and then I'll make my mind up on that. Let's see if I can find your super chat, Rob. I think I may have missed it, mate. And I don't even know how I missed it. How did I miss it? Yeah, I have. I'm so sorry, mate. I really didn't mean to do that. I'm so sorry. I apologise massively. Sorry. I'm just trying to make sure I don't miss any others now. Okay, this is from a massive donation here from Mojo, who says, I guess both Cunha and Mbeumo will help score around 30 plus goals, hopefully helping us gain 15 more points than last season. Get a proper striker, we could do a lot better. Well, that's how we have to look at this. You have to look at the marginal gains. You know, if we could actually bring in a new strike force that scores us 35 to 40 more goals, let's just look at the league from last year. So I love doing this. This is what I spend quite a lot of my time doing with Man United and other teams, just looking at solutions. So if we go back to last season, go to the time the game's finished, we only scored 44 goals in the league last year. So let's say this season we score 674. Would 74 be too much? Maybe a little bit. You know, Chelsea only got... Say we score 70 goals this season. We could conceivably get to 70 goals if we bought a really good strike force. The only team that, like, City only got 69 goals. Sorry, Arsenal in second got 69 goals. So it's only one of the best goal scorers out there. Let's say we concede as many goals. We don't improve that area, right? That would only give us like a plus 20 goal difference. That's still actually as good as Newcastle that came fifth as an example. 15 more points, if that generated for us, that would put us on the 57 points, which would have only put us in ninth. So I'd be aiming for more than 15. I think if you're going to, if by your super chat, the look is to grow by, say, 30 plus goals, I'd be looking for about 20 additional points. 20 additional points. And by the way, other teams might improve, so it's hard to always gauge. Puts you on, say, 62 points, which puts you in and around the top 8, not far away from European positions. Then what you've got to look at is other players having better years. The goalkeeper making better saves. The defenders not leaking as many bad goals. So you wouldn't just put it on them. But there's a chance that we could push ourselves up into that kind of area next year. There definitely is. Absolutely is. Very, very true indeed. So yeah, I like what you said there, my friend. I think it holds a lot of water indeed. Let's have a look at this poll. 61% are on Sesko. 21% are on Watkins. 15% on Mateta. This here from Savage, who says, there's a good opportunity to get one of the best goalkeepers right now. He's banned for a few games, so we can't even lower the price. So do something, Barada. Are you talking about Mark? I think he's only missing the first game of the season. It's only the first game I think he would be missing for. Gigs here says, I was blocked by the Leverkusen channel for calling out Ten Hag. I guess they don't want to hear the truth. 10 shits is one of the worst managers out there. Fair enough. Signing Benjamin Sesko would only encourage competition between Sesko, Obi and Højlund, which would be great over the next few years. Fair point. I would still prefer Sesko if Gyökeres and Arsenal fall off, especially after Romero has told us multiple times that he prefers only Arsenal. Fair. Gyökeres thrives on the counter-attack, and Arsenal are never in a position to counter because most teams play low block against them. I think he's a class striker, but he picked the wrong club, is what has been said here. Now, that's an interesting take. That is. Krishna here also says, let's have a little look here. I really do like the way you explain and rationalize your opinions and reasoning. You are good at simplifying things without coming across as condescending. Appreciate that, Krishna. That's what I try to do. It's not always possible. Ray, by the way, 24 months as a United Stand member. You legend. JB here says, bro, if you are chill, you be like Mark. Bro, if you are chill, you be like Mark. I don't know what that means. Thanks for the super chat, but I don't quite know what you mean. I can't be Mark. I'm just me. I'm only ever going to be me. I only want to be me. And Mark's great. But there we go. Terry, you really value our opinion. Of course I value your opinion. Because, look, I don't care whether it's, I mean it's disrespect. I mean it's with all due respect. Whether it's Mark, me, Beth, Maud, anybody here, Ricky, without you guys watching, we're talking to ourselves. You're the most important part of our communities, whether it's here on the United Stand, whether it's my channel, The Football Terrace, which I hope you will all come across and support and subscribe to. Yeah, you are the most... You're the most important part of what we do. It's not... We're not news outlets, we're not journalists or anything. We've created communities where we can all sit and talk together. There's just one person that's predominantly on camera. Although on my channel, we do a lot of phone-in shows and stuff. But yeah, of course I care about what you all think. Sometimes I'll push back and we'll fight and argue, but it's just over football. It's not sort of serious stuff that we're fighting about or anything like that. But I do think it's the important things that we're talking about and important things that we're challenging and going through to do with our clubs. This here from Tariq says, do you think Diego Leon will feature much this season, or will it be Dorgu? Listen, we're also looking at Estepinian, and that's one to watch. I like Estepinian. That's one to watch because I think it depends how these players all do in pre-season. I'm not sure if Dorgu's ready. I'm not sure if... I don't know anything about Leon. I'm not watching play. Let's see how they look in pre-season. I wouldn't be surprised if he stays. I love his attitude. I love the way he's like, I'm not here to get sent out on loan. I want to play. I don't know if everybody thinks like that. I don't know if everybody has that same mindset. I like it a lot, man. Maz here says, thought we were going to kidnap Mark and hide him away whilst you and my handsome King Kev take over the channel. You ghosted me. Oh, sorry, Maz. Apologies, bruv. I had to stop that one. Thanks, Terry. You're a breath of fresh air. Thank you, Rob Jones. Listen, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but as my lovely nan used to say, if you're everybody's cup of tea, then you're just a mug. So yeah, that's the way it is. Black belt Terry. We're not fighting, brother. Black belt Terry. It's actually funny you call me Black belt Terry, because when I got my first black belt, we went bowling, and a good friend of mine, Bradley, we went bowling. That's what he put my name on. I was on the bowling things. Black belt Tell. Well, Black belt Tell, I think it was, rather than Terry. But yeah, good old days. Good old days. Jay here says Leon is a beast. Yeah, he's very, very good. This here from Will Z. He says, hit the like button, bro. You know you want to. Thank you for encouraging everybody. What are we on likewise? We must be on 2,500. Look at that. Bang on 2,500. Get it to 3.5 people. Let's get it done now. This here says, give Amarim the whole season to train them. No matter where we finish, this season will be an opportunity to build a proper foundation. I understand that logic. I do. Look, the United Stand's going to be back in the morning around 10 o'clock, so make sure you are here. If you want to come check out more of my content, like Minor Marks Goldbridge is out right now on the Football Terrace. Just come out and check my channel as well. It'd be great if you could. But I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart for being here on your Friday night, tuning in. Until next time, everybody, look after yourselves. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again very, very soon.